Welcome to my channel. My name's Bissy and Lestat, I've missed you. What an episode. Firstly, I do want to apologize again. I don't know what happened, but sadly, I'm unable to get my reaction to you this week and I'm literally devastated by it. I worked so hard on it, but I just can't get it clear. And to avoid another strike, this video is not going to have the clips from the episode, but I'm going to have pictures. So I hope you can bear with me. Hopefully things will be back to normal next week for the finale. I hope. But I did want to say a massive thank you for everyone who has bared with me. You guys really, really are the best. So thank you very much. Okay, so this week I don't have a spoiler section, but we're going to go into a lot of detail during the breakdown. And if you do enjoy my breakdowns, please let me know by hitting like and subscribe, and that'll let me know to keep going. Okay, and with that said, let's get into the episode. Okay, so we meet Lestat in a period of hibernation, back at home. Well, a halfway home in Montreal, at the start of what is going to be a very, very long night. Lestat, as we know, is an early riser, and it seems that the vampire Alex is too. The band have moved back into their place across the street from Lestat, and we learn that Lestat is not Alex's maker. Lestat speaks to him telepathically, and Alex pointedly ignores him. Now, initially, I wondered why, but Lestat mentioned that they had no knowledge of what really happened to Larry. So Alex's head could literally be spinning with all sorts of theories. And specifically, I'm thinking back to that very last conversation that Alex and Larry had last week. And just as a side note, I did like the way that Lestat spelled Louis' name in his phone. So cute. We'll also see that Lestat is trying on his new identity and trying to decide what's next, after his obligations have been met, of course, and, I think, without Gabriella. Louis has been living with him for the past 6 weeks or so, and they're preparing to meet Merrick Mayfair. Merrick being a witch from New Orleans, who Lestat has a connection to. Now, if you did listen to my spoiler section from last week and you don't know already, then you would know that a witch, I think, is someone who I would say can communicate with spirits. Neither Louis or Lestat think that this is a good idea, and Louis really doesn't think that a concert is a good idea. It's Halloween, 2 years to the day that Lestat met the band, and the band has been turned. Alex by Gabriella. And later in this episode, we'll see that Lestat asks her to go and be a mother to him. He needs her. Now, I don't know about you, but it almost feels like it's a bit brotherly, the way he's looking out for Alex here to Gabriella. We saw last week that Lestat was very, very kind to his younger self. And maybe he's seen Alex now as a little bit of a younger brother in some way, some sense, somehow. I don't know. He's always been fond of the entire band, so it could just be that. And also, I just keep thinking that Alex has had such a raw deal. His sobriety has been destroyed by Armand. His brother has been taken out by Armand. For what reason? We haven't had confirmation yet. He was turned by the most unfit maker that we know of. And on a side note, I wonder if Sam was the one who turned Salamander. And did Lestat turn TC? And is this how she earns her spot at the long table? Louis and Lestat walk over to Louis' restaurant. On the walk, Louis ends a call with Lem, with "Me Too," right in front of Lestat. And of course, Lestat doesn't miss it. Side note, it was at this point that I wondered, would Lestat ever have a moment where someone he loved isn't actually hurting him? Even if it's unintentionally. Oh my goodness. The one thing he wanted from Louis, the thing he waited patiently for, even if it was in vain, the thing that Louis kept and continues to keep from him, Louis seems to infer to Lemmy, in front of Lestat. These two. We learn that after the intense stalking of Regina, Louis ghosted her, which for him is probably a needed move. But in my opinion, ultimately, it's selfish. There are much healthier and more mature ways to end situations like that. The situation that he pulled her into. I just hope that after all of this, she gets away with her life and all that Louis said he would pay her. I hope. They enter Louis' restaurant a stone's throw away from Lestat's home, and Louis later admits that its location is not an accident. They sit down with Daniel together for one final session. But in this session, Daniel knows about Gabriella. He's been training with Armand. I mean, Daniel literally has a tan. And note, Lestat says, "Did you overshoot your coffin again?" And this made me think, did Daniel perhaps tease the son as a result of his transformational trauma? Lestat also says the tan of "whatever you want, sweetheart." As in, he knows what it's like to have Armand on his neck. And I mean that literally and figuratively. Is Lestat aware, maybe on some subconscious level, that Armand is teaching Daniel? And Daniel has finally become his true fledgling? I don't know. But Daniel presumably is in on more of Armand's plan now. And that's a whole lot more than Louis and Lestat know. I mean, we later learn that Daniel was actually trying to read their thoughts. And I think it just goes to show how powerful Daniel was set to become if he survives. As usually, it takes centuries for someone to become a daywalker. I mean, he's doing it within months of Armand beginning to train him. And also, just how are Lestat and Louis both unable to sense Daniel's duplicity? I mean, is it really because of that fog of love? It has to be, right? Or is it complacency? Lestat says to Louis later on in the car that they are better than him. Lestat foreshadows his time in the forest, transcribing birdsong. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's foreshadowing, but it is interesting. Louis says that he tried to respect Daniel's privacy during their 2022 sessions, which of course is a massive slap in the face to Daniel. Now that Daniel knows that Louis knew about the 52 years. Or did Louis know? And if Armand did report back to Louis, did he then remove the information from Louis's mind? Who knows? We literally do not know. And with anybody else, I mean, I don't think even the question would be there whether that information remains within Louis. But we're dealing with Armand here, and the behaviour has been proven. And then when it comes to the interview, that's the end of it. There's nothing else. Except we meet a distant de Liancourt descendant, and the three of them feed. Lestat and Louis are on their way to meet Sophia, and Lestat opens a line of communication about their relationship. The fact that Lestat kept so much from Louis is brought up. So is Louis's guilt. And also, yes, justice for Antoinette. We know that having the blood of Akasha in him changed Lestat. We know that it's a struggle to resist the urges that it encourages. But we also know that it provides a certain amount of protection to him. And the phrase, "I have the blood of Akasha in me," has become something of a comfort blanket for Lestat. Lestat admits to Louis that he's a monster. It's not said with pride, and to me, he says it with sadness, regret, resignation. But that's just my read. And finally, Louis meets Sophia. And note, later in the episode we learn that there was a portrait of Lestat's mother over their coffins in New Orleans for 30 years in that coffin room. So my question is, how did Louis not recognize Gabriella? And that also leads to the question, if it wasn't Gabriella in that painting, who was it? But that's skipping right ahead. Back to the meeting, Louis and Gabriella sit to watch Lestat and the band rehearse. And I'd just like to note that Alex looks just about as melancholy as you would imagine after mysteriously losing his brother. Salamander's as chill as he's ever been. Love that for him. And TC seems pumped. As the band warms up, Louis and Gabriella discuss tomorrow's show. Gabriella warns that Louis might be better off not coming. But Louis knows that it will hurt Lestat too much if he didn't show. Then, Lestat performs Brutal Love, as both Gabriella and Louis sit right next to each other. But there's no doubt who this song is for and who he's singing it to, and Gabriella knows it. Lestat and Louis are locked in a way that she and he never have been. As Lestat sings, "Show me that bitter star, I want it. Give me that brutal love, I want it all. Writing your name in dust as I fall." And it is absolutely peak Lestat, i.e. Louis and Lestat. And for me, it's the reason I love this show. It's the reason I settled in for episode 2 and every episode thereafter. This moment was stunning, and I'm so glad they didn't rush it. As Louis gets a link sent to him from Lem, Lestat sings some lines from his song to Louis, Come to Me, which again was stunning. But Gabriella cannot let Lestat leave without toying with him. One more time. She wants to send Lestat off to Spain when it's all done. Spain, Gabriella. The shores of which you left him all those years ago. She too is diabolical, seriously. But I did want to note here, will we ever meet Arturo? In the car, Louis opens his message from Lemmy and sees a clip from Daniel's documentary, Interview with the Vampire Lestat. We learn a couple of things from this clip. Firstly, Daniel's been creepily filming Lestat and Gabriella after the shooting. And Armand wasted no time in teaching Daniel how to walk in the sun. I mean, I don't really think that Daniel would have let him take his time, but that's a separate conversation. I do wonder, however, how long this one will hold, Daniel and Armand, when this between them is their basis. This is their foundation. And it's not just for Armand at the moment. It's the foundation that both of them stand on. But, of course, for now, Daniel is very, very much with Armand. And Lestat's secret is out. Louis had an understandable initial response to finding out that Lestat is currently sleeping with his mother. But as soon as Louis starts to reject Lestat, Lestat throws up. Panic sweeps over him as Louis exits the car. Now, like many of us, I found this scene in the trailers humorous and justifiable. But this is exactly why I love context so much. Throughout this season, we've seen what happened with Lestat and his mother as humans, which leads to Lestat's current situation with his mother. We've seen that after they were changed, Lestat tried to confront her about what she did to him. But he was manipulated by the one thing he always needed. The I love you from his mother completely disarms him. And he's hers, to do with as she pleases, whilst she wants, and hers to discard whenever she's done with him. He's currently in the middle of this cycle that they've been in and out of for centuries. And now, not only the world knows about it, but Louis does too. And he's running away from him. Panic! And on top of it all, Louis compares Lestat's lie of omission about his mother to Armand's deceit. And this sends Lestat over the edge. Now, I just wanted to note that Louis does this in almost the exact same way that he accused Armand in season 2, episode 4. You remember, just as they're entering the Louvre, Louis accuses Armand of hiding his strength after the restaurant scene. He calls it vintage Lyoncourt. Now, I can see where Louis, in the moment, was coming from with his comparison. It's the very same night as their last session with Daniel. And the last time he did this, a huge revelation shook his entire life. So I understand. It's not fair, but I do understand. But judgment from Louis in this moment isn't what was called for, perhaps. Lestat communicates that he had just spent the last month and a half working with Louis to pull him off the ledge of the situation he had gotten himself into with Regina, all whilst going through his own incredibly present fracturing. He tries to explain the complexities of his relationship with Gabriella, whilst trying to understand it himself. He says all of this as he's throwing up. Now, I don't know if anyone has ever experienced this, but it's happened to me just once. Absolute shock leading to sickness immediately. He's having a panic attack, and thankfully, Louis snaps back and comforts him. He also apologizes in the moment, which I think is key. He holds him and waits with him until he calms a little. Oh, what a scene! Then, surprisingly, they go to a bar, just like a pair of mortals might. They suffer through a couple of pints, topped up with blood, and they talk. Lestat conducts his own chaos, and I think that line, more than any other line in the show so far, is a window into Lestat and what it might take to understand him. We then meet Merrick Mayfair, who's set up in Lestat's townhouse. Using Claudia's diary and dress, she calls upon Spirit Claudia. Now, this scene was so incredibly moving, and I really, really hope that this was Spirit Claudia. I hope it wasn't a trick. Now, as you may have heard before in my previous videos, I haven't read Merrick yet. I'm close, but I haven't read it. So this is why I don't have a spoiler section at the end of this video, because it would be secondhand information that I'm giving you. I mean, I haven't read it myself, so I haven't formed my own opinions. But what I will say is that there's a different storyline that happens with Merrick and Louis throughout that book. But I don't think that they're going to include it in the show. So I don't think that that would be a beneficial spoiler anyway, I think. But again, I haven't read it, so I don't know. Okay. Back to the scene. I mean, I'm still struggling to find words to describe it. I mean, this performance, the set, it's just everything, absolutely everything was almost a little bit too real. But I'm going to do my best and I'm going to break it down as much as I can. So very simply put, Lestat was Claudia's favourite. And honestly, I often think about if Lestat had been honest with them, this story could have been very, very different. I mean, he and Claudia had so much in common. And I still wonder if Lestat is still protecting Louis' feelings in this very moment, you know, in the recording for the auction winner. Maybe Claudia said even more. I constantly have to remind myself that we're not seeing these events like we did the events unfold in Dubai. This is Lestat's story. But we see that Spirit Claudia says that she hates Louis. She hates him more than Bruce. She hates him more than the Parisian Coven. She hates him more than anything she's ever known. She calls him a slave. And she said that that's why she ultimately chose him, as she thought of removing him instead of Lestat. She tells him to burn her dress. She tells him to burn her diaries and to stop saying her name. Oh my gosh. She's raging. She's been raging. And she's been searching. She's been all alone, just like she was throughout her time with Louis. Remember, Louis didn't choose her. She wasn't put first very often. Even when he said, it's me and you and me. It's me and you. Oh, I forgot you can't see me. I'm just shaking my head. It's so, oh gosh, this is the rage that we feel from Spirit Claudia in this moment. And the fact that it's directed at Louis mostly is, my goodness, it is not what I expected, but I very, very much understand it. But when she turns her rage to Lestat, she seems to be a little bit confused as she mixes up some names. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but it seems that in the second part, she mixes up Tom Anderson and Antoinette, but I don't know. I don't know. And of course, Madeline. Madeline! The heartbreak that was Madeline. Claudia's been searching for her this entire time, and she hasn't been able to find her. She's been in the darkness. She's been nowhere. She's been without the one person who ever brought her any joy. She's been lost for over 70 years. Where is she? Oh, Claudia. I literally am like the streaming, crying emoji at the moment. Claudia! And the final thing on this scene is we saw that the circle was broken. So, was Merrick successful in bringing Claudia back, in reining her in? I wonder. I really, really wonder. And then we sit on another bench in another park, and we learn that the songs are mostly about Louis. I mean, anyone could have told Lestat that, but he had to admit it. After that otherworldly experience, Louis and Lestat walk. Neither of them have sufficient words for what they've just experienced. But they sit and they talk, and they keep talking, which is going to be key for them. They keep talking. Louis notices that Alex is watching them, a distraction. And as they both look at him, Armand and Daniel creep up beside them and they slice. Now, on a side note, Lestat was aware of Armand being in town. So why couldn't he sense Alex watching them? And this has got me really, really thinking. I mean, a couple of things this episode have. But is the fog of love really, really that blinding? I mean, it must be for vampires, right? So when it happened, when Armand and Daniel did what they did, my very first thought was Dr. Farid. Did Armand get to him too? Or will someone else pick them up and put them back together? I mean, it seemed like Daniel and Armand walked off after they did what they did. I'm not sure though. It was very quick. I do worry though, because Dr. Farid didn't seem 100% happy with his circumstances this season. Maybe he didn't like being on tour, but at the same time, he did open up to Lestat about his mother. So yeah, I don't know. But Dr. Farid did mention to Daniel that someone of Lestat's breeding could last hours without a head. So is this where the idea came from? But the lingering question that I have over Armand and his plans remain: why? To what end? Although it was shocking to see, on my second watch I did catch that Lestat was trying to comfort us in the beginning of this episode. I mean, we started right in the middle in episode 1. So we're out of sequence here. And of course we see real Louis at the auction. And I can only presume that the forest next week is going to run red with blood. So with next week being the finale, how much of Daniel, Alex and Armand's actions will be exposed? I mean, we're only on album 55. And what are there, 110 altogether? So there's so much of this story to go. And I really, really hope we get a season 4. Okay, thank you so much for watching. That's been my breakdown of episode 6. Again, I'm so sorry I don't have the video clips. I'm so sorry I don't have the reaction for you. It's really made me want to have a Patreon. I have to really think about that and figure out how to do it if I can, because this has been a week. But thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and I will see you next week, hopefully. Okay, thank you. Bye.